welcome back to my channel. I am Linda and I am a healer, a coach, and a facilitator. And in this channel, I bring you clarity about personal development, emotional intelligence, and practical spirituality subjects and how you can use them on your day-to-day to create a more joyful, meaningful, and fulfilling life. So this entire month of December, I am going to be doing readings for each of the zodiac signs. Now, I've said this in other videos. This is not a tarot reading channel. However, because 2020 has been so jam-packed with so many different things, and it's been such a difficult year for almost everybody individually and globally, I thought that it would be helpful to some of you to do readings by zodiac sign for what is coming up for each of the signs in 2021. I just thought that that may be helpful because it may be able to give you a little bit of clarity, prepare you a little bit for what's coming, and also give you some guidance as to how to navigate the energies of the new year. So with that said, I am actually recording this intro and I will use the same intro for all of the videos so I don't have to keep re-recording it. So that's why there's no cards on the tables. I'm going to edit this piece and then repeat it through all of the videos. But I just want to say a couple of housekeeping things first that I say in almost every video that I do readings on. First of all, my readings are intuitive. So I do tarot and oracle card readings, and I usually mix and match them during the reading. And the tarot cards, I will always give you the traditional meaning of the card, but then I will also give you what my intuitive reading of the card is. And that is based on what I see in the card, what it feels like to me, and then how the cards all get presented, the order in which they get presented, etc., the story that I see created, etc. Now, for the oracle cards, for those of you who are not aware, oracle cards are cards that have imagery, and sometimes they also have words, but there's no traditional meaning for them. They have the meaning that the creator assigned to them. So they usually come with a small book that tells you what each card means. So I sort of do the same. I give you what my intuitive reading is for the oracle card, or sometimes because of the imagery or the words is more like a logical reading, right? What I see on the card. But then I also go in to the book, and if there's anything that is different or anything that is in the book that I think is important, I will also bring it into the reading as well. In addition to that, I also wanted to say that time and space are a third and fourth dimensional construct, and the information in these readings comes from dimensions higher than the fourth, usually fifth through seventh dimension, etc. So I say that to explain that even though I'm doing these readings at a particular time, the readings are for you when you come across them. So when you find them. So if I do this reading, say in December 2020, and they're meant for, say, I don't know, whatever, January 2021, whenever you find it, you can assume that the reading is for you at that time. Because like I said, time and space are just a third and fourth dimensional construct. So in summary, whenever you find the reading, that's when you're meant to listen to it. I also, to add to that, I also want to say that if anything that I say in the reading doesn't resonate with you, then this reading may not be for you. You can take a part of the reading if it resonates and then discard the part that doesn't resonate, etc. But you have just remember that I'm doing this reading for a group of people, the viewers, which is not, these are not individual readings. So this is not going to apply to everybody. So I just say that so that people understand that sometimes you get a reading for something and it doesn't exactly sound like you, or it doesn't really resonate with your situation. So use your own judgment, but it may be that this particular reading is not for you. The other part of the intro that I wanted to mention is that I try when I remember but I try very hard to put each of the cards against the camera so you can see at least the wording and most of the design and the coloring of each of the cards. And the reason why I try to do that is so that you also have an opportunity to see if you get any intuitive hits from each of the cards. And if you do, please pay attention to that, even if it is different than what I am saying, or if it's opposite that I am saying. I think it's really important for you to develop, each of you to develop your own intuitive skills. And like I said before, these are general readings. So if you get an intuitive hit from the card, please pay attention to that. So that's why I put them against, you know, the camera lens, so that you can see them a little bit more closely. I also don't shuffle on camera for a variety of reasons. I've said before, and I'll probably repeat it in some of these readings, that some of these cards are too big for my hands, so it's really hard for me to shuffle them. And even when they're not, my shuffling skills leave a lot to be desired, and I'm just basically embarrassed to do it on camera, so I don't. And then the last thing that I want to mention is that I think I'm going to be grouping these readings in like bundles of 3. So add in the description box for this video, you will see the timestamps for each of the signs. So I think each video is going to include 3 signs, and you can just, after you listen to this intro, you can then just go to the description and look for your sign and click on the timestamp, and it'll take you right to that reading. And then I think that's pretty much all I wanted to mention for housekeeping. If anything else comes up, I will mention it while I'm reading the cards, but that's pretty much the housekeeping that I wanted to mention. And and I think you'll probably see a lot of edits on the video, because I do these readings in English and I do them in Spanish, so I cut back and forth so I don't forget what I said in one reading, because once I get the intuitive hit, I like to keep it consistent. So that's another thing that I just wanted to mention, and I think that's it, and we can get started with the readings. So this is for Aries, and the question that I ask is, what is coming for you? What can you expect in 2021? And the first card that I got was the Moon, then the Page of Swords, and then the Hangman. Now, these are major arcanas. The Moon and the Hangman are major arcanas. And major arcanas usually have to do with forces that are beyond our individual control. Okay, so basically what came up first for you for the sign of Aries was the Moon. And the Moon, the significance of the Moon in the traditional tarot, it has to do with illusion, has to do with intuition, with imagination, sometimes with fear, with mystery, because the Moon has lights up at night. So it has a lot to do with illusion, with mystery, with fear, with what's hidden, but it also has to do with intuition. It's actually the tarot card for the sign of Pisces, which is arguably, is highly considered as the most intuitive sign of the entire zodiac. So this card has a lot to do with intuition, with mystery, with things that are not clear, with things that are not easily seen, but also sometimes with illusion. And I mean that in the positive and negative way, definition of that word, but also sometimes they have to do with fear, because things that are hidden are usually things that we are fearful of. Now, what I'm seeing here, it's interesting because as I look at this card, I'm not getting a lot individually on this card, but I am getting some information as I look at all 3 cards here. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to put the cards here on screen so you can see them, in case that anything that you see in them gives you any sort of insight, or in case you get any intuition for the cards themselves. And you'll see that the Moon is here, and there are things here that I think these are dogs. I don't know, there's not great drawings, but they look like dogs, or maybe wolves that are howling. It seems like they're howling at the Moon or talking at the Moon, or trying to communicate with the Moon. So the reason why I mentioned that piece of it, of communication, is because what I see here is the Page of Swords. It's the next card that came up, and let me just put that up there. Now, the traditional meaning of the Page of Swords is, is embarking on a new phase of your life. It usually means that you're embarking in a new or on a new phase in your life. But the meaning of Swords in general, it has a lot to do with the mind, with mental processes. They have to do with truth, with knowledge, with communication. So that's the reason why I called out the fact that I saw these dogs here that seem to be trying to communicate with the moon. The sense that I'm getting here is that that basically they're 2021 for the sign of Aries is going to be a year where a lot of your fears are going to be coming through. A lot of those things that were hidden for you, sort of in your subconscious mind, are going to be showing up for you. And some of them are going to become fully conscious. And that's going to include some of your fears, but also some of your dreams, because that's the piece where the illusion and the imagination meaning of the moon comes into play as well. Some of your dreams, but some of your fears, your deep-seated fears, are going to be revealed to you, right? Because like I said, you know, swords have to do with truth, knowledge, information coming through. So a lot of these is going to be coming through. And as you get this information, as you get this knowledge for yourself, is gonna help you embark on a new path, on a new phase in your life. Now, I'm looking at this, and the other thing that I'm sensing from this card too is that this person here is preparing for what is to come. So something about the position of the person is almost like positioning him, I think it's a man, himself for battle, for fighting someone. So there's a sense here that is of preparation as well for what you're going to be embarking on. And the other thing I wanted to mention here that's interesting is that the pages have usually to do with slow movement, right? So when we see the Knight card, which we don't have one here on the table, and I'm not going to look for one, but when we see the Knight is a fast moving card, right? Something is coming towards you, or someone is coming towards you at a fast pace, whereas the page is more slow moving. It's there usually implies a little bit of hesitation, but it also implies preparation as well. So this is what I mentioned before, that this person here looks like they're preparing for something. So it does seem that this year 2021, is going to all be preparation for you to embark on a new phase of your life. And what I feel is that it's going to be manifested more through intuition, that you're going to get a sense of something, a sense that that there's something that you need to discover, that there's some work that you need to do, there's going to be preparation that you need to do, potentially as a result of those fears and those dreams coming up from your subconscious. But also it feels like they sort of inform each other, that those dreams that are revealing themselves through your subconscious mind and those fears that are coming out of your subconscious mind are informing your intuition. But also, as an intuitive being, you also have a sense of what those are as well. So it almost feels like they're going to be feeding off each other. So it is important that you pay attention to that you pay attention to your fears, that you pay attention to your dreams, to anything subconscious that starts coming to light. So what sometimes people call aha moments, you know, those things that it's almost like a part of you has always known it, but you are not fully conscious of it yet. So pay attention to those and let your intuition guide you, so that you can then start preparing. You can take those truths and that knowledge and that wisdom and start preparing to embark on this new phase of your life. Now, the other thing here is the other card that came up is the Hanged Man. I think you can see that. And that's actually upright. It looks like it isn't because it's hanging, but it's actually literally hanging down. So it is upright. And the Hangman traditionally really just reflects or symbolizes surrender. It symbolizes sort of slowing down, you know, like pausing, like taking a breath and slowing down And it also symbolizes surrender, the idea of surrender and letting go. Sort of like when you're, like if you were hanging down from a tree, right? Like there's nothing you can do. Like you literally cannot. You can barely move. You're not able to untie yourself. So it's this idea of letting go, of not having to always be in control. And the other thing that is showing up here in the card that I'm looking at is that if you look at the Hangman card here, it almost looks like this person, oh, okay, I did say that already. Well, anyways, so it looks like this person this man is in a ballet position, like as if he was dancing ballet because of the positioning of his legs. And ballet is something that requires a lot of preparation, right? You cannot, like you can say, I'm going to be a ballerina tomorrow, right? It takes years and years and years of preparation. And that goes back to what we were talking about here. You know, it's letting go, slowing down, surrendering, and preparing with your knowledge, with the wisdom, with the truths that are going to be showing up for you and revealed for you about your own. A lot of these are going to be about yourself, you know, are going to be subconscious about your own self. Some of them, for some of you, it may be from the external world, like maybe from other people or other circumstances. But what I'm seeing is for the vast majority of you, this is going to be internal truths that are going to become conscious for you, are going to be revealed to you through this process throughout the year. And then so take that in, use those truths, use that knowledge, and prepare for embarking on the new phase of your life. Now, this card here that I pulled is a shadow card, and I forget what they're called, but it's basically, it just tells me what is in the subconscious for this energies here, for what we're talking about here. So I'm going to look at what's going to be in the subconscious mind. It's interesting. Yeah. So let me read the book, but I'm going to look at what is going to be in your subconscious, in the shadow, meaning that you don't have full access to it because it's not yet in consciousness. So let me just read the book real quick. And as you can see, these cards don't have words on them, so I have no idea what the card actually means. And okay, this is actually part of what I was thinking about when I just made that comment a minute ago. But the card is called Denial. And what it says is, if you have drawn the sigil, you are currently in denial in this situation. The question is, what are you avoiding, admitting to, or accepting? Yeah. When we can't deal with, change, or eliminate something painful in order to avoid despair, we simply deny whatever is painful. But it is a powerfully unconscious state of being, because to slip into denial, a person has to stop seeing, feeling, and hearing any proof to contradict it. Ask yourself, what am I really afraid I might be in denial about right now? Acceptance is the opposite of denial. Okay. So basically, this goes back to this card we were talking about here. When I was talking about the subconscious and mystery and fear, this is exactly what this particular card is talking about. That there are fears, there are subconscious thoughts, subconscious dreams, subconscious fears that are not revealed, that are in your subconscious mind, and they need to come to light. They need to be brought to light. Sorry, I just saw some color changes on this crystal, which is interesting. But anyways, so there's things that are going to be, there's fears, there is desires, there is information that you are in denial of right in this moment, and probably through the beginning of 2021, that are going to start revealing themselves, okay? And it is important that you allow those truths to come forth, that knowledge, that you become conscious of that, so that you can then start preparing and use that information, so you can start preparing and you know, allow yourself to surrender, to sort of let go of this need for control, of this need to be right, of this need to insert word here, right? This need to blank. So you can then use this information that's going to be revealed to prepare yourself and move on to the next phase of your life, that at this time is actually waiting, is actually hanging, is the hangman, right? Is sort of is in a pending state, because this process has to come to fruition. So the next part of the reading for Aries is the guidance for 2021. And as I was shuffling the cards, for those of you who've seen my reading videos before, I don't like to shuffle on camera because some of these cards are too big and they're really hard for me to shuffle. But also I really suck at it, so I'm embarrassed of doing it on camera, so I don't. But when I was shuffling, the question that I asked was, what is the guidance for the sign of Aries? And the card that I got was Shadow. And it actually fell on the table with a bunch of other cards, but it's the only one that I focus on. But because so many cards fell on the table, I was like, you know what? I only saw this one, but I'll just put them all back in and shuffle again. And I reshuffled like 5 other times, and then this card came up again. So I guess this was actually meant for you. And it is actually, I'm not going to give a lot of detail because it is in fact something we already discussed, and I'm putting it here so you can actually hopefully see the images in case that you get any additional intuition from it. But we basically already discussed this in the first part of the reading, right? You need to focus. So the guidance for you for 2021 is focus on the shadow. And for those of you who've seen my videos in the past, shadow equates subconscious, and we already talked about that in the first part of the reading, right? There's all these things that are hidden, all of these things, that fears, desires, etc., that are hidden, that are in your subconscious mind. And this card is basically saying that you need to pay attention to that. And then I asked for what vibration should Aries sign be in for 2021, and the vibration that came up is self-awareness. And actually, again, already talked about that too. So basically the first 4 cards gave us all the information that we needed. And by the way, that's been happening in my last couple of readings. I've noticed that when I draw the guidance cards, we've already gotten, is basically just reinforcement of what we already said with the first portion of the reading. But in any case, so self-awareness is the vibration that you need to embody, Aries, for 2021. And again, like I said, we already talked about that. Self-awareness is, but all these things that as they come to light, all of this knowledge, as all of these things, all of these truths and knowledge come to consciousness, is really important. Not only that you become aware of it, right, that you accept it and are not in denial of it and, recognize it, but it's also really important that you apply it and you use it and you take action accordingly. Okay, so that is your reading for what's coming up for you in 2021, Aries, and I hope that this is really helpful and it helps you navigate the new year with a little bit more ease. And until next time, blessings. Okay, so we are now looking at what is coming for Taurus in 2021. And I usually don't define the number of cards that I want on the table. I just ask the question, and whatever shows up, shows up. The Aries reading as well as this Taurus, we got 3 cards for the tarot cards, so I'm keeping those. I wonder if all of the readings are going to be the same, but in any case, so the first card that we have here is the 10 of Cups, and the 10 of Cups came up in reverse, and I'm putting it up here so you guys can see it. Hopefully that's clear enough. And the 10 of Cups usually means fulfillment and like divine love, etc. However, when it is reversed, it usually has a meaning of lack, that fulfillment, the sense of overall lack, but it's usually more a sense of lacking fulfillment, because cups usually have to, well, in general, cups have to do with emotions, right? With the heart, with matters of the heart. So because they're related to water, and I think I've said in other videos that water has to do with, the symbolism of water is emotions. So in any case, the 10 of Cups in reverse, usually in the traditional meaning of tarot, what it signifies is a feeling of lack of fulfillment, of lack of emotional fulfillment, and a sense of struggle as well. Now, because this is the first card that we got, what that makes me think is that the first part of 2020, so the end of 2021 and the beginning of the end of 2020 into the early 2021, what Taurus is going to see is they're going to have experiences in their life where they're going to have, or their life as a whole could be, they could be experiencing a sense of lack of fulfillment, a sense of struggle, a sense of difficulty, that things are not going their way, that they're not feeling fulfilled, but it's more in an emotional way. It doesn't necessarily have to do with material things. When it comes to cups, especially this card, like the 9 and 10 of Cups, also the Queen and King of Cups, it usually has to do with the emotional aspect of things. Like I said before, cups, the symbolism of cups is emotions, but these cards in particular to me have a really stronger sense of emotions than some of the other cup cards. And again, this just seems to be indicating that up until early 2021, Taurus is going to be struggling with a sense of lack of fulfillment, lack of a sense of lack, but it's really related to whether it's lack of connection, lack of authentic or emotional or deep connection, etc. Now, this could be romantic, but it doesn't only mean romantic. When I say emotions and connection, that could be anything, right? That could be family, that could be friends, that could be romantic as well, etc. The second card, and I actually did look at this, and I didn't get a lot of intuition past the original, the more traditional sense, the traditional meaning, because this card doesn't have a lot of symbolism. So that's really what I got for this card. Now, for the Knight of Cups, which is the second card that came up, again, there's another cup here which has to do with emotions as well. The Knight of Cups, this came up upright, and the Knight of Cups usually means romance. It has to do with beauty and romance and things moving along. I think in one of the other videos that you may not have seen, because it may not have been for it wasn't for your sign, but when I was talking about Aries, I was saying that the Knight is different than the Page, in that the Page represents something that is being planned or that is coming, but that is a little bit more slow moving. Sorry, there's some reflection there. Hopefully you can see that better right there. Whereas the Knight is a more fast-paced card. So the Knight usually represents something that is either already here or just about to reach you. So given the timeline of these two cards, what it's looking like to me is that at the beginning of the year, probably, and again, this is actually more intuitive, through the end of 2020, but into early 2021, the sign of Taurus is going to be having that sense of lack of fulfillment, lack of connection, of difficulty, of struggle. But shortly thereafter, so it's not going to be too far into the year, they're going to start feeling there's going to be connection around them. There's going to be love and connection coming around them in their environment, in their energetic field. The one thing here that is coming to me is, yeah, I don't know why, well, I'm just gonna say it. I'm not gonna try to do a disclaimer here, but if you look at this knight here, looks very proud. He's like standing, upright, and, has the cup in his hand, which is usually emotions. It represents emotions. But then if you look at the horse, I don't know, it looks like, sorry, that was my email. It looks like the horse is not looking forward, which is interesting. I don't think I've ever noticed that before in this card. So I'm not really sure. Something about this feels like there may be something that we're not seeing here. And I wonder if it's that we're just not seeing the opportunities that are presenting themselves. If we, meaning the sign of Taurus, you viewers that are of the sign of Taurus, because I'm not a Taurus, but that you're not seeing, there's going to be fulfillment and romance, and maybe not exactly romance, but connection, right? Love connections around you, which could be romantic or otherwise, depending on your situation, take it as it applies. There's going to be the sense of, new connections and strengthening existing connections, and a sense of, bonding and love and authenticity. But it's almost like it's not fully, like, you will not be fully aware of it. Now, again, the knight is fast paced. The knight is like, oops. Excuse me. So the knight is fast paced. So the knight means that it's going to be happening pretty early on in the year, but it's also going to be really fast moving. It's not going to be something that is going to take months and months and months to develop. Like one of the other readings that I did, that it was talking about, the more slow pace, like perseverance and persistence, because it was going to take a while. This doesn't feel that way. This feels like something that is going to be moving really fast, but it's almost like there's something that we're not paying attention to, or something Taurus is not seeing clearly or looking at. Now I'm going to keep reading the cards, and then I'll do a summary once I have all of the cards here on the table, all of the cards interpreted. Now the third card that came up is the Queen of Pentacles, and I am going to put this here. Now the Queen of Pentacles has several different traditional interpretations. Now, Queen of Pentacles represent money, but they also represent tangible things in the third dimension, in our physical world, right? So this usually means someone that is abundant, and I don't necessarily mean financially abundant, but that could be it as well, because like I said, Pentacles represents the earth, tangible things, but it also represents money. Because some in some countries they're called coins. I think the translation in Spanish is the word for coins, for pentacles. But in any case, so this card traditionally can mean talks about practicality, right? About being a provider and nurturer, etc. Because it talks of things in this world, of things in the 3D. So it talks a lot about practicality, but also about financial abundance, or abundance as a whole, but that could include financial abundance as well. Now, another traditional meaning of the card, at least in some circles, is pregnancy. And this may apply for some of you. So again, take what applies to you and leave the rest behind. No hard feelings here. But for some of you, especially in relation to this particular, so this is where the intuitive part comes in, right? So I'm seeing all of these three cards here. So I start connecting some dots. So if you see here at the beginning of the reading, the first card that we had is the Ten of Cups, which is, if you can see here at the bottom, there's a family here, right? There's a couple embracing, and they're like waving, I think, to someone in the distance. I don't know. And then there's two little kids here running, and they're like in a beautiful field, etc. And the cups are here in almost the shape and some of the coloring of a rainbow. And that's because the Ten of Cups upright, which is not what we got, but upright is the overall fulfillment, is divine love, is fulfillment, is the idea of the fairy tale, etc. And since we got it in reverse, like I said at the beginning, it shows a lack of feeling of lack of fulfillment, lack of connection, of struggle, of difficulty. But then here at the end of this transition, we're getting the Queen of Pentacles, which can represent pregnancy. And if you look, it's basically almost the opposite of this here, because here we have children and a family, but they're reversed, which means no, right? Whereas here we do have a card that represents pregnancy. So for those of you where this applies when it comes to romantic relationships or family relationships, etc., this is a transition that it's indicating that at the beginning of the year, things are going to feel, if you already have a family, if you already have a romantic connection, or if this applies to another emotional connection that you have that is otherwise, non-romantic, be it friends or family, etc., and there's going to be a little bit of struggle and difficulty, but there's going to be opportunities presenting themselves here. So there's going to be, excuse me, there's going to be romance. There's going to be connections that are going to be either new connections coming in pretty quickly or pretty early in 2021, or existing connections that are going to be strengthened, or old connections that had been severed that are going to reconnect, that are going to come back around. And at the end, past the middle of the year is what I'm sensing, then it's going to come to this Queen of Pentacles here, which is, this idea of full-on nurturing and providing. And for some of you, it may also be pregnancy. But this is basically, when I talk about nurturing and providing, like I said, I'm talking about this idea of connection and fulfillment. Like when you're in a really connected and fulfilling relationship, it's usually a mutually nurturing connection, right? A connection where you each provide love and support and affection and whatever else you need for each other. So that is what I see coming towards the end of the year. That's going to be the progression for Taurus this coming year, 2021. Now, the only thing here that I want to, well, actually I have the shadow card here. So I'm going to look at the shadow card, and then I may get another card to clarify this, because there's something about this horse, like I said, not looking forward, that is, I don't know what. But anyways, so let me take a look. So the card that we got for this is the shadow card, and what this is the question that I asked for this card is, what do you need to be conscious of in 2021 that you are not currently conscious of? And what by that I mean that it's in your shadow, meaning that it is in your subconscious mind, but you are not consciously fully aware of it. So we got card number 55, and these are abstract cards. But give me a second to pull the book and read what it is that it says. Oh, okay. So number 55, which is this card, says, not seeing the signs. If you have drawn this sigil, you need to be aware that signs are everywhere. In this situation, you are not looking for them, ignoring them, or have no awareness of them when they occur. Yeah. So I read through the rest. Most of it is just reinforcing that original statement, which is good, because it's exactly what is actually very similar to what I was seeing here. I just said a few moments ago that something about this horse not looking forward was bothering me. It's almost like there's things that we're not seeing. And basically what this card is saying is that Taurus is not looking at the signs. So the part that you need to be conscious of for 2021 is that you need to make sure that you pay attention to the signs, because you're going to be getting signs so that you can move from the reverse Ten of Cups to this Queen of Pentacles. Things are going to come your way. People, resources, books, songs, a lot of things are going to come your way to help you through this progression, but you need to be paying attention to the external and internal signs. So that means your own intuition about things, but also all of the external signs. And when we talk about signs, there's a lot of ways that signs can manifest themselves. for you. It could be in music, it could be in, you know, like one of mine is like I see signs on the street, you know, like the name of a street, or like one that happens to me all the time is that I like a truck is driving by and something about the logo or the words on the truck is, you know, has something to do with a question that I'm pondering or something that I'm asking. So just pay attention to the signs. And the one thing that I will suggest here, that it's not part of the reading, but it's a suggestion based on my own practice, on my own daily practice, is you also probably, I think, Taurus, want to ask for signs. And one of the things that I do is when I'm trying to make a decision about something, you know, I do weigh the pros and cons logically, but I also really deeply check in with how it feels for me. If I'm still a little bit confused or I'm still a little bit undecided because there's a lot of factors, I oftentimes ask for signs. And sometimes I ask for specific signs and sometimes I don't. For some areas, I have specific signs that I ask for. So if I see this thing 3 times in this many days, you know, that's a sign that I'm on the right path or the right track or what have you. But what I would suggest that you do, Taurus, is that you ask for signs to come your way, but also ask for the openness to see them and receive them. Because what I find for most of us is we're all getting signs all the time, but most of us are not in tune enough with ourselves and with our surroundings so that we see them. Most of us are getting signs regularly, but we either miss them because we're so caught up in the, you know, the daily grind. And the other thing that oftentimes we do is we dismiss them, right? We say something and we get the answer through some coincidence, right? What we call coincidences. I personally do not believe in coincidences, but, you know, we get a sign through a coincidence and we're like, oh, that's so coincidental. I just asked that question. You know what? Next time that happens, think about that, look at that, because that may very well be a sign for you. So when I pulled the guidance cards for Taurus, what I got was 2 cards, and I was actually gonna reshuffle and redo it because I tend to like to just get 1 card. I don't like to get multiple cards when I'm asking a question, but for some reason I decided to keep them. And as I'm looking at this, I realized that the second card, which is a card of sacred sexuality, has a horse in it. And I'll go into it in a minute, but I decided to keep it because I actually had paid a lot of attention to the horse on the cards that we got when I asked the question of what's coming up for Taurus in 2021. So I decided to keep both cards. So the question that I asked here was, what is the guidance for Taurus for 2021? And the first card that came up was Strength. And if you can see here, the Strength card has an orca in the middle. I hope you can see that really well in the camera, but it basically has an orca here, and orcas are obviously, I think they're actually the biggest and strongest animal in the planet, if I'm not mistaken. So what this implies, and I did read the book real quick, but there's nothing there that goes too much more beyond that, the representation of strength, right? And the word that's right here. And then horses are also, I mean, horses are considered one of the strongest animals on earth, you know, on land, I should say. So an orca, I think, is the overall strongest animal in the animal kingdom, but certainly of the ocean. So this is just really saying that the difficulties that Taurus is going to encounter earlier in the year 2021, you know, to be strong, to stay steadfast, you know, to stay focused and stay strong. And I think that's something that's going to be fairly easy for Taurus, because Taurus is the bull, right? Is a very strong sign, a very grounded sign. Is an earth sign that's really, really grounded. So so it's just reminding you to keep your strength, right? To be strong, to stay strong, so that you can get to where you want to be. But the other thing that is not on the book that I that just came up for me because, and I think it's also because it's something that I mentioned when I was doing the first part of the reading for Taurus. I was talking about, paying attention to the signs, and I specifically stated, just because I don't know, it came out of my mouth, internal and external signs. And when I said internal, I explained that I meant, your intuition, to be paying attention to your intuition. And the reason why this seems connected is because orcas, like dolphins, whales, dolphins, are very intuitive animals. They're actually arguably the most intuitive animals in the animal kingdom. So I think, and I mean orcas and dolphins. So I did want to mention that because I think there is an important message here of staying strong and listening to your intuition, paying attention to the signs that are coming to you through your intuition, and using those just for strength. But also making sure that you're paying attention to them. And also the horse came out here in sacred sexuality, which I thought interesting because it's what I spent a little bit more time intuitively when we were doing the first part of the reading. But the second card that came up for guidance for Taurus in 2021 is sacred sexuality. And I'm hoping you can actually see that that's a horse there. Sometimes because of the gold on these cards, it's hard with the lighting to see, but I will do a quick reading of that, and then I'll give you what my intuitive hit for that is. But sacred sexuality, our sexual self and sexual energy is such a layered and potent part of who we are. It can show us our wounds. It can provide healing. It can help us manifest. It can teach us boundaries and can fuel and empower us. Sacred sexuality does not mean that our sexual presence or expression needs to look a certain way. It simply means that your sexuality is sacred as it is. This card asks you to examine your relationship to your sexual self. Is there anything that needs tending to? Is there anything that needs healing or releasing? And I will leave it at that. But the reason why I wanted to read this is because, again, here's another sign, if you will, about sexuality, about fertility, right? And about family. Because sacred sexuality is not just for the purpose of procreation. In fact, I do not believe that sex is only for the purpose of procreation, but there is a theme, because as we discussed in the first part of this reading, we first saw the family in reverse, and then the last card was the Queen of Pentacles, which can represent pregnancy, and then here we have a card of sacred sexuality. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because of the connection there, right? Because obviously a baby gets conceived through sex. I'm assuming that that's no surprise to anybody watching this video. If you're watching this video and do not know this, please log off, because you're probably a minor. This is not for children. But, babies are conceived through sex. So sacred sexuality plays a big role, or sexuality, I should say, plays a role in pregnancy, which is one of the things that the Queen of Pentacles can represent. But also the Queen of Pentacles, you may remember that I mentioned that it means creation, right? Pregnancy, when we talk about pregnancy in spiritual matters, it doesn't only mean, the birthing of a child. It actually can mean the birthing of an idea, of a project, right? Is the creative process, is creating something, just like the womb hosts and gives birth to life. Sacred sexuality is related to our creative process. Creativity lives in the second chakra, which is the sacral chakra, which is the same chakra that rules our sexuality and our sexual organs, right? That's the same chakra where creativity is it lives, right? So the idea of sacred sexuality can also give birth not just to a human being, right? But it can give birth to creativity. It can give birth to art. It can give birth to ideas, etc. So these are all really strongly connected. No pun intended because of the car strength, but these are all strongly related and strongly connected to each other. So I just wanted to point that out. And the guidance here again is stay strong for 2021. Pay attention to the signs, including and especially the signs that come to you through your intuition, but also allow yourself to use sacred sexuality just to build. And for those of you that where this has to do with a romantic relationship and or family, right, to create, whether it is a human life or a solid relationship. That could be a romantic relationship, right? Where maybe both of you practice sacred sexuality together. Or it could also be some other type of partnership. Because we had a couple of, the 2 of the 3 cards that we got for the top part of the reading were cups, I'm more inclined to believe that when we're talking here about these connections, these relationships, we're talking about emotional relationships. That's family, that's friends, that's romance, right? Romantic relationships. So use your sacred sexuality for those connections. And obviously I don't mean having sex with your friends or your family members. What I mean is you can build creative relationships with those people, whether it's creating a new friendship, right? Where again, harness the power of creativity. It doesn't have to be through sex. Remember, sexual organs and sex, as well as the creative process, the artistic and otherwise creative process, live in the 2nd chakra. So you can be creating, just the process of creating, connecting with a new person and creating a new friendship, or creating, reestablishing an old friendship, where in a way that is almost created almost like as a new thing, right? A different kind of relationship with an old connection. All of those fall into the category of creation, right? And harness the power of creativity that can come from sacred sexuality to create and nourish those connections. So then the last question that I ask is, what is the vibration that Taurus needs to be in for 2021, or that would benefit Taurus to be in for 2021? And what I got is potential. And I think I know what this means, but I'm going to rate the book real quickly, just to make sure, just to see if there's anything new or anything else that I need to mention. Okay, so I'm going to mix in the meaning of this card in the book and what I got intuitively, because they are related. They are not the same, but I'm going to rely more on what I got intuitively. But so this is a vibration that you need to embody or be in 2021, so that things progress in the way that is highest and best for you. And what this card is saying is that for Taurus, you need to not just be open to seeing the potential, but also harnessing the potential, right? All of these things that you want to create in your life, whether it's a family, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's more authentic and deeper connections, whether it's improve the relationship with your family, whether it's something else altogether, a project or an artistic endeavor, whatever it is that you're trying to create, right? That Queen of Pentacles that you want to create in the world. You have the potential in this year to create that for yourself. You have the potential in 2021 to create it, but don't leave it just at potential, right? Just get clear on what really it is that you want and put the time and effort to create it. So for me, intuitively, the meaning is twofold, right? Is the potential is already there. Pay attention to the signs that are taking you to whatever this potential is, right? Connect to your intuition and pay attention to all of the internal and external signs, but also take steps, take action towards this potential. Just take it from potential into creation, into something tangible in your life. Okay? Well, that is it for Taurus. Namaste. Hey, welcome Gemini. So this is a reading for what is coming up for Gemini in 2021. And the first card here that we got is the 10 of Wands in reverse. Now, the 10 of Wands in reverse, what it means traditionally is that in the past you've been taking too many burdens. Hang on, let me hold that up a little bit better. That you've been taking on too many burdens in the past. And the past, because this reading is for 2021, the past could be, you know, technically now in the future, because I'm recording this, it's still 2020, right? So up through 2020, you have possibly taking on too much, too many burdens. You have too much on your plate. And what this is saying that is important for you for 2021 to put those burdens down and take a break, okay? To just take a step back and don't carry anything that you do not need to carry. In fact, try not to carry almost anything, but yeah, just make sure that you take a break and reduce your load. And this could be in any area of your life or all areas of your life, but if that's the case for you, but any area of your life where you feel overwhelmed. Like if you look at this image here, this guy, and it was in reverse, but I'm going to put it upright so you could really see the image. You know, this guy is carrying all of these wands, which actually look quite heavy and not heavy, but difficult to carry, right? Because there's too many and they seem to be like moving around. You cannot even see his face. Like his face is literally buried in the pile of wands that he's carrying. So I think it's a he. Yeah, it's a he. So it's important for Gemini for you to take a break this year, especially earlier in the year, meaning as soon as possible in 2021, right? Just take a break, put the burdens down, get off your plate anything that is not yours to carry, any burden that is not yours to carry, any responsibility that is not yours to carry, anything that is on your plate that should or could be in someone else's plate is important for you to take it off your plate. Because up until now, definitely for, you know, the bottom part of 2020, you've been carrying a lot that is not yours, a lot of burdens and a lot of, effort or work that doesn't really belong to you. Now, the next card that we got in the progression is the Page of Wands. And the Page of Wands usually means that, you know, good things are going to be revealed. And it was upright, by the way. So good things are going to be revealed, right? So good news is coming, or truths are going to be revealed and are coming your way, etc. So if I look at this almost looks, it's interesting because it doesn't really look like the same person, but for some reason it feels like the same person for me. And even like the colors are reversed in this person, like the clothing, right? So the red, the bottom red on top, and yellow at the bottom, yellow on top, etc. But for some reason, it feels to me that this is the same person. And I think the message that I'm getting is for you to get this good news, right? That you are wanting, this truth that is going to be revealed, that is going to help you move forward, these new ideas that are coming your way. It is, you first need to put these burdens down. It almost feels like these two are tied together, like there's an actual literal progression between these two. So there's good things coming for you in 2021, whether it's new ideas, new project, great news, truths that are going to be revealed, that are going to be beneficial to you, or that you've been waiting for, but you need to let go of these burdens first in order for you to be able to get here. And then the third card that we got here was the Chariot, but we got the Chariot in reverse. And give me a moment, let me just take a look at this. Yeah, so the traditional meaning of and we got it in reverse, hang on. Okay, there we go. Sometimes because the positioning of the lens of the camera, sometimes the way I look at them, when I'm looking at them upright, they show up in reverse on the camera. So I always have to pay attention to that. But this is what the Chariot card is. And this is the third card that we got for the progression for you, Gemini. And what the Chariot in reverse means, well, what the Chariot upright means normally is direction, right? Is charging ahead, is determination. So when it is reverse, it tends to mean either the opposite or something similar to the opposite of that, right? And the more traditional meaning of the Chariot in reverse here, right, means that you need to focus on getting like a real direction. That is important for you to pay attention to and to be self-disciplined. But it's also important for you to make sure that you are, whatever you get, whatever victories you achieve are ethical. And so I think one of the traditional meanings of the Chariot in reverse is unethical victories. And the reason why I was looking at it a little bit more is because of this. If you look at it here, and I don't know, I'll put it in reverse. There's two sphinxes, or however you say, I don't know what the plural of sphinx. Well, it's not a sphinx. Well, maybe it is a sphinx. I don't know what it is. And is it sort of like a half gargoyle, half sphinx? I have no idea. But anyways, these two things here, if you look at them, the colors are reversed, right? So the black one has like a black and white. It has like white features and black and white, whatever that thing is on his head. And then the white one has black features with the black and white, with the white and black thing on his head, right? So on its head, right? So it's almost representing the polarity. And while this is a victorious position, and I'm going to put it upright so you could see it better. Like, look at the face of this guy here, right? He's in a position of victory. He's here like the king or some sort of like noble person, but he's so clearly in a position of power here. But look at his face, right? He doesn't look happy. So, not that these cards usually have a lot of facial expressions, but in this, for this one in particular, it, you know, is something that jumped out at me. And then we have the polarity of the colors here at the bottom. So what that represents to me is that you have to be very careful about how you go about getting what you want, right? You're gonna let go. You need to drop these burdens, you know, to take a break, to drop off your plate anything that does not belong to you, so that's not yours to carry, so that you can move forward and get to this position, right, where there's new opportunities, these new ideas, all of these good things, good news, etc., come your way. But when they do, right, and as you move through this progression, and when you get there, is important for you to remain focused and remain disciplined and remain ethical and remain in alignment. Because what this is showing me is that there may be some things that can kick you out of alignment. So it's really important for you, Gemini, to stay, you know, to pay attention, to stay steadfast in and clear on what your direction is, to stay ethical, to stay in alignment, and to stay disciplined, so that you can not only get to what you want, right, to this sort of outcome that you want, but you can actually stay there and enjoy it and feel good about the fact that you're there and how you got there, okay? And then this card that I pulled here is the shadow card. And with this is the question that I asked for this is, what shadow, meaning subconscious motivation or subconscious feeling, subconscious emotion, subconscious motivation, does Gemini need to be conscious of? Does Gemini need to be aware of for 2021? And I got card number 26, and I need to look for the book because I don't know where I put it. Oh, here we go. I got card number 26. impact. And it says, if you have drawn this sigil, you are not seeing the impact of your thoughts, beliefs, words, or actions are having on others. In this situation, you are hurting others, but you are not aware of it. Interesting. If you've drawn this sigil, notice how your body language impacts others. Are you choosing words that can be mean or misunderstood and provoke negative feelings? Attunement is being or bringing into harmony. It is a feeling of being at one with something. If you have drawn this sigil in this scenario, the only way to be in alignment and in reality is to see that you are negatively impacting others. Recognize how and choose with your free will to be responsible for how other people feel. If you have drawn this sigil in this scenario, the only way to be in alignment and in reality is to see that you are negatively impacting others. Recognize how and choose with your free will to do otherwise. I guess is how that sentence should end. Sorry, I sort of drifted off in the middle of that. So that's actually some of the wording. I just kind of picked a few sentences because it's like a couple pages long. But basically this goes back to what I was saying here, that it talks about the impact of your body language and your words. And one of the things that I had mentioned before was the face, right? Like you're seeing here that this person is in a position of power, but his face is saying otherwise. And the other thing that I said is that it's important that once you get here, you are happy that you got here and that how you got here, right? And that's one of the other things that talks about, being in alignment so that you are in alignment through the process and when you get here, but also that the importance of how you got here, right? The impact that you have on others during your trajectory. And once you are here, once you are in this position of power, the impact that you have on others is important. This isn't just about you. And the other thing that was interesting to me in the book is that it talks about taking responsibility for your actions, right? And how those impact others, right? And what is interesting is that if you look, we started with you taking too much responsibility, right? So it's almost like you want to be careful that you didn't go from too much to zero responsibility, right? What you want to do is find a balance, right? Find a location or find harmony. And I don't use the word compromise because that's, for people who know me well, know that is not a word that I like. I prefer the term harmony for a variety of reasons that I will potentially get into in another video, but certainly not in this video. But I guess what I want to say is that it's important for you, Gemini, to pay attention to this progression, to what you're trying to accomplish, and not only how you're moving in the world, but who you are and how you navigate once you get to where you want to go. And it's also so that you do it in a way that is in alignment, in a way that is ethical, and in a way that is conscious of the impact that you have on others and the environment around you. But the other thing for you to watch out for is that you don't go from a place of taking, being burdened, right? Taking responsibilities for everything and everyone around you to taking zero responsibility even for your own actions. You need to come to a harmonious balance where you're assuming responsibility for your actions and for what is yours and the impact that you may have on others, but not so much responsibility that you're burdened and taking in stuff that is not yours to take, or burdens that are not yours to carry. Okay, so for the guidance for Gemini for 2021, the first card that I got was Get Creative. And when I read the book, I'm not going to read it now, but I did a quick glance over it. And basically what it says is tap into your inspiration, into your divine inspiration, so that you can create whatever it is that you want in this world. And create, again, I said it for some of the other signs where this came up, but when we talk about create, we don't just mean the idea of create from an artistic perspective, right? We mean creation as in creating anything that is tangible in this world, be it art, be it a life, be it a relationship, be it a project, whatever it is that you need to create. You need to get in touch with that divine inspiration. You need to get in touch with inspiration. And this goes back to what we were talking about here with taking aligned action, because to me personally, when we pause, right? When we take a pause and when we give ourselves enough space and time to connect and to hear and to listen for and to receive this inspiration, by definition, any action that we take is going to be in alignment. Okay? So the last card that I got here is, I asked the question, what vibration does Gemini need to embody for 2021? And what I got was unfold. And I'm not going to read the book. I already glanced it over, and it's pretty much what I got intuitively and logically as well. So I'm not going to go through the book, but basically what I was saying is that it is important for Gemini to take a pause, right? Like we said here at the beginning, Gemini needs to take a break, unburden, take a break, take a pause, but take a pause in early 2021 and let things unfold naturally. That pause is going to have things start unfolding naturally, and it will also help you connect to your inspiration, right? In order for you to connect to your inspiration, it is important that you pause. It is important that you are in silence. It is important that you are present so you can connect to your inspiration, and that inspiration is what's going to take you and guide you to aligned action, to aligned choices, where you can actually genuinely enjoy the fruits of your labor and what you create in this world. That's going to actually take you to create what it is that you want in a way that it feels harmonious, that it feels in balance, that it feels in alignment. So that is it for the messages for Gemini. I hope this is helpful for you, Gemini, and until next time, namaste.